Alright everyone, welcome back to Cylindrical Thinking. Yes, Cylindrical Thinking, around we go. We have 15 monkeys left, as well as our typical Quincy. And we're moving straight into the next level. This is called Candyland, I think? Is this Candyland? I can't remember. But it's one of the more recent maps that's been added in. Alright, so now we can officially start placing a Ninja and Alchemist combo, which, if you don't know, is amazing. And you'll see in this that instead of like me doing a jump cut from say around 45 or 50 something onwards until we get to like 80, it might even start jumping earlier because Ninja and Alchemist can handle these balloons for quite some time. But yes, I've just woken up. It's pretty much the following day after the first video came out, and I'm working on this one because you guys seem like you really want it to come out as soon as possible, and I'm going to try my best to deliver on that. But yes, this is part 2. We're going to get through the last 3 levels today, and hopefully with ease, because there's no drastic modifiers in this one. It's just, once you place a tower, that's not your hero. You can't get it back. So, in sticking with our theme of trying to place only 3 towers that'll actually be removed, Ninja Alchemist will carry us for most of the time, and then I think we might try for an Archmage, if we can help it. Although, what are the next couple maps? Okay. I was going to say, if the next 2 maps didn't have water, we'd need to place both of our subs. But it's looking alright. The next map does have water and we can use a sub there. So maybe we'll use a sub here. Potentially get one up and around here so that you can reach down here on this side with the Ninja's range and over here with Quincy's range. And then put him like right in the middle so that once they get past him, they'll have to, well, he can use his own range. But yes, I think that is our plan. So if you don't know the Ninja Alchemist strategy, or at least the one I use, it's 4 upgrades in the top path for the Ninja, 1 upgrade at the bottom, and then the Alchemist is pretty much the same, except you don't necessarily need the 1 upgrade at the bottom. Although you can go for 2 upgrades at the bottom. The faster throwing does help out in keeping the buffs attached for, well, keeping the buffs attached more consistently, or if you're buffing 2 things at once, it can make it more reliable. But overall, I usually don't go for the bottom path just to save a bit of money. And that's also the same reason I don't go for Caltrops. Caltrops is, I mean, it's an okay upgrade, but it's only going to save you from very specific situations, you know? There's not going to ever really be, like, a time where wave 63 comes and Caltrops makes the difference between you beating it and not. You know, it's such a minute damage upgrade that I don't often buy it. So this is essentially it. You just get your Ninja to 3rd tier. Well, if we want to be specific, get your Ninja to 3rd tier, then you buy the Alchemist, and then you place him. You start buffing the Alchemist, and then you pretty much just take it in order of cheapest thing to buy. So for example, at this point, like, double shots there for security. Like, that 920 was just to make sure that we can beat these rounds easily, and of course we can. But now, the cheapest thing to buy would be an Alchemist. And then larger potions, acidic mixture dip. Very nice. And look at him. He doesn't even have the buff yet, and he's still absolutely destroying. Quincy's been just twiddling his thumbs back there, doing absolutely nothing. Alright. There's buff number 1. And then Berserker Brute. Yeah, so silly me didn't think that Ninja Kiwi would do limited time trophy shop offers. And so before like this video, or before this Odyssey, I had recently spent some of my trophies on getting another pet. This one was for Oben. And I personally think that was really worth it. But I've had no time to show it off yet. because every single challenge since I've bought it has been hero specific and not open, which is a shame to me. But I'm sure I'll get the time. But yeah, that just means I'm running low on the trophies, and so completing this will come in very handy. Also, if you're wondering why we're doing the Ninja Alchemist combo and not like the Alchemist plus anything else, the main reason I choose Ninja to buff with the Alchemist is because Ninja alone can already see camos straight from the start, and if the Alchemist buffs the Ninja, he can pop leads. That was going to be a terrible example if he didn't buff him in time there, but you get what I mean. So essentially, now that this guy can pop leads at certain intervals, if he feels like it, there we go. So this little green dipped dart is the one that lets him pop leads. But yes, so now that he can pop leads and see camos, and because he's throwing sharp objects, not laser beams, he can pop purples, leads, camos, leads, camo purples, lead purples if they existed, camo lead purples if they existed, but they don't. So essentially he holds off fairly well just on his own. And that's pretty much all we want. We want someone that can tank the early rounds so that we can get into the nitty-gritty later rounds. Alright, so once we get this stronger stimulant upgrade, we could go for faster throwing. I think faster throwing might be a good idea, but as you can see, even with the leads coming out, like, he's still getting buffed quite frequently. So even though it's not constant, like we'd want it to be. Okay, yeah, maybe we should just get faster throwing, because this is a bit worrying, seeing him not get buffed constantly. Okay, that's much better. Okay, but yeah, we'll go acid pool at the bottom, and then faster throwing, just so that the uptime on the buffs is a bit more permanent. So now you can see that, yeah, so it doesn't really run out as often as it was. Alright, so if you guys needed any sort of proof as to how well this strategy works, or at least Ninja Alchemist, we're gonna pretty much wait until round 59, I think. And yeah, then I'll come back after that. Okay, so it's not round 59, I realise that, but this round itself, 54, with this strategy, was a bit of a risk. I did not use my ability, and we did manage to get through it without losing any lives, but basically Quincy had to aim up here to finish off the last few balloons, and that is not good. But, as you can see, we've saved up 31,000 over the course of those rounds, so you can see just how far this combo can take you. Alright, so now we are going to get that sub that we so desperately wanted. We're going to go to the top, of course. Now, do we want to get a really fast shooting sub, or do we get one that can potentially obliterate Moabs? I think for now, faster shooting would be better. But at the same time, we do need something that can defeat round 63. Ooh, I wonder. What can defeat round 63 with relative ease? Well, our Dart Monkey, and we could get a 5th tier Crossbow Master, but so we'll just get that, which will help with the Moabs. And then we might have to think about placing a 4th tower here. But what would we get to solve our problems with ceramics? I wonder. Okay, we'll see how we go, because we're not there yet. We're not there yet, not by a long shot. But yes, we'll see just how far we get, and how much money we have, and then evaluate our choices from there. But there we go, look at that sub. That sub is definitely helping out when it comes to Moab popping power. Alright, so how can we beat wave 63? We need to think about this. I think the 5th tier ninja can beat wave 63. I believe that a wizard monkey would be able to do it. At least top path. Bomb shooter. Recursive cluster could be good. I don't know if it'll be good enough, but we could try it. But then how would we beat 63 on the last two maps, is what I'm thinking. That's the only tricky situation in my mind. So we could get a sub-commander, extra pierce and damage, to try that out, but I think we'll wait for the round before 63 before we start test trialing, or test running things. So we may need to use an ability here for the BFB, or maybe not. Yeah, we'll use Quincy's first one, just because it's not the best ability that he's got, but it's at least a bit of extra damage that we could use. Okay, trying not to let these regrows get the best of us, but they're managing to get quite far here. Oh no, it's alright, it's alright. We've got it covered. Okay. So we'll let round 62 through. I think we can beat that with minimum effort. Now, it's looking like we could potentially get a Grandmaster Ninja to solve wave 63. But here's a very big tips and or trick for you. If you know there's a difficult round coming up and you're not sure how you're going to beat it, don't purchase the upgrade the round before. If you know you can beat the round before, wait until the round is over, because if you purchase this upgrade now, right, and we'll see if it works. Okay, so clearly it works out, but, for example, if you purchased that the round before, that upgrade would have been permanent. Like, if you quit the game and then came back, that upgrade still would have been there. But since you waited for the end of the round, any upgrade you make then isn't necessarily permanent, because if you back out, like hit the home button, and then go back into the game, it'll save whatever your last board was at the end of 62. So because I didn't buy this during 62, I'd still have my 37,000 cash, and I can try a different strategy, and then just keep going back and forth until I find one that works. Whereas if I spent it during the round, I'd have to sell it to find a strategy that works if it didn't work. That is. And then that just overall makes you lose quite a bit of money. So for example, we bought him for 37,000. He's only worth 30,000 in selling. So you wouldn't get all of your money back. So yes, if you're going to purchase any upgrades, like big decision upgrades, like 5th tier upgrades, definitely do it at the end of a round, or in between rounds, rather than during. It'll help you out much more. Unless, of course, it's a challenge that's specifically like, you need to buy the upgrades during the round, then of course there are times when that's necessary, but it all depends on what round you're on, and how well you think you can handle yourself. So I think, because Permabrew is amazing, but too expensive for this game mode at least, or at least for the next 12 rounds. So we're going to try and go for a sub-commander, which is a little sad, if I'm honest, because sub-commander specializes in buffing other subs, which we don't have. But yeah, we're going to try for a sub-commander, because even just by himself he's pretty good. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys when we have enough money, or until we find a round that is a bit difficult for us. Alright, round 77, and boom, there we go. That will be our last upgrade for this game, as in terms of our expendable monkeys, or at least the monkeys that we can't get back. We will pretty much be putting all of the rest of our money into Quincy now, just to keep him to level 20, if we can. But other than that, 78 out of 80, I'd say this map is pretty much done for. We've got 2 really good 5th tiers, and a good 4th tier that manages to buff at least one of them. I don't think I'd make any changes if I was to replay this level. I think we did pretty well here. Oh, there you go. For anybody that wanted to see Caltrops get bought, there it is. But yeah, other than that, I'd say this level's just about finished. Remember to use your Quincy abilities if you do get into trouble, like now. Admittedly, that wasn't trouble, that was the furthest thing from trouble, but you get what I mean. Remember that Quincy has abilities, and if you guys manage to copy this strategy and complete it the exact same way I did, don't be afraid to use your abilities because you can get them back real quick. Just make sure you've got them ready for important rounds like 63, 78, 40, 50, whatever you need to defend against at the time. Just make sure you've got your abilities ready if you're unsure. And once again, don't make any purchases during the round if they're like potentially game-changing purchases. Like, I just bought that sub mid-round because that was the last thing we needed to buy, really. So, yeah, and that will be this level completed. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, so the next one, downstream, we're going to round 85 this time, and so now, and then the next one is 90, so I think this is the perfect time to start using those extra monkeys that we've been trying to save up. So now we've got 12 for the last 2 levels, which means we can put 6 on each, and 6 plus Quincy is quite a legendary defense. So, start with Quincy around here, and we'll just take it from there. Alright, so back at it again, 1 to 85 this time. So there's a big difference between going from 1 to 80 and 1 to 85. After round 80, they have introduced ZOMGs by that time. And ZOMGs can be quite a pain in the backside if you don't have a proper defense set up to be able to destroy multiple of them. So one ZOMG should be just fine. That can be handled, and usually that's around 80, which isn't too much of a hassle. But multiple ZOMGs can be quite tricky, and you'll notice that Quincy isn't exactly the greatest in terms of nailing every single one of his shots. That's fine, because we can simply throw a ninja into the mix and just make it a lot better. But like, Quincy is essentially just a hero version of the ninja, and if he lets a couple balloons through, that's not too bad because, well, usually he won't let too many slip. You know, we'll see that he's let like a couple of lives through. Like, he's only let 5 lives through in total so far, so he's not doing too badly. And I think it's only that one level with all the blues where he's potentially going to let some things slip, but after that you should have enough money to get your ninja and then start kicking some butt. So we'll be pretty much using the same strategy up until 54, I guess, because that's when it didn't really work out too well for us in the last level. So we're pretty much going Ninja Alch until 54 then. But I'll show you guys all the intermediate rounds, just in case you have any doubts about the strategy. This will just be a second sort of reinforced layer of it. But yes, I must admit, I don't remember if we can pick... Were we allowed to pick tack shooters? I don't quite remember. But I must admit, tack shooters would have been a good pick here, because tack zone is very cheap and also very good at popping ceramic balloons for 63 if you have him in a good spot. I can't stress that enough. You have to have him in a good spot, because tack zone isn't the greatest because it's just regular kind of darts, but still, he is insane if you have him in a good spot, so he can get a lot of coverage on the map. He's basically like a Bloontonium reactor at that point, but with bullets instead of presumably radiation. Alright, so there's our double shot security. Now admittedly, not a lot of balloons are getting past Quincy at this point, but that's alright, because that's what our ninja's for. Security for if Quincy starts to fail, essentially. He shouldn't, and he better not, but just in case. That's why he's there. Okay, now I'm thinking Well, no, we have to use the sub this game, don't we? Because this is the last map we can actually use the sub on. So I'll put Alchemist here. We want him just to buff the ninja, because you guys saw that when he didn't have the faster throwing, the ninja wasn't consistently getting buffed, which is a bit of a shame, because it used to be the case. But yes, he wasn't consistently getting buffed, which was a bit annoying, and it was a bit of a flaw or a hole in the defense system. But yes, we should be able to. We should still be able to pull a win out here, even if he isn't consistently buffed. But yes, we need to place our sub this game 100%, because we cannot place him on the next level. We literally cannot, because there's no water on the next one. Carts and Darts has no water. Okay, so then once we get Bloom Jitsu and Stronger Stimulant, we'll basically be chilling until 54, and you guys have seen how well this strategy works so far, so I think you guys can trust me on this, that we'll get through the rest of these waves. We'll only be getting the same upgrades that we got last time, so nothing different's going to happen, so you're not going to miss out on much. And so, I'll see you guys at 54. Okay, so, not gonna lie, we lost a couple lives on that last round, so maybe we should stop at 53 rather than 54, at least on maps where our range is a bit more limited. But either way, not enough lives to take us down, so now we will place our monkey sub, because the reason we're placing our monkey sub here, I've said before, is because we want him to reach the start of the track, but at the same time, if he can also reach this little part as well, when he gets his range, there you go. That is going to be of great use to us. So, there's our sub, and now hopefully we can just copy the exact same thing we did on the last map by getting our ninja maxed out to 5th tier. And then we can head for our sub upgrade as well, because we could get the sub right now, we could, but I don't think the sub would be able to handle 63 on its own, or at least not very well, in my opinion. So just be wary of that. Just because you can get a 5th tier doesn't mean you should, necessarily. So we're doing alright, I'm not gonna lie, we're doing pretty well. Admittedly, the sub is in a bit of a bad spot, because in an ideal situation, you want your sub like around here, or maybe further back, and then, well, this is in a non-Odyssey ideal situation, by the way. You want your sub further back, around here, so that you can have towers up here, so that he can attack from all the way down here, all the way up there. Right, so that's the ideal situation, but obviously in this Odyssey we do not get ideal situations, because we're having to deal with limited towers per map. Alright, so we will use Quincy's first ability for this BFB, I think, just to make cleanup a little bit easier, but there you go. Just to make things a little bit easier, ooh, and there you go. We've only lost a couple extra lives, but that's all worth it, because we can get our Grandmaster Ninja very soon. We might have to use Quincy's second ability here. It's getting a bit dicey. Okay. Not bad. We managed to get through it without using an ability. Very nice. Okay, there's our Grandmaster Ninja. And look at that range increase. Admittedly, he is buffed as well, but wait for it to wear out. There you go, so it's pretty much very similar. Okay, oh, and we didn't even get faster throwing. How dare I? That's terrible. Alright, so I'd recommend getting faster throwing, but at the same time we were cutting it pretty close there in terms of being able to beat that round, so maybe cut some corners until you can get your Grandmaster Ninja up, because you definitely need him up for round 63, that's for sure. Look at him go. 4th tier ninja could not do this. I know that for a fact. Because a 5th tier ninja barely can. You see them? They're getting all the way around here. Jeez. That is not ideal. But yes. Do not trust a 4th tier ninja with round 63 alone. Unless, of course, he's being buffed by literally every tower on the map. Then he might have a chance. But any other situation, probably not. Alright. So, I think we're just going to be saving up for our sub-commander again. And seeing how far we can get with that. I do think that maybe we'll place another 1 tower this game. Just because, admittedly, this map doesn't loop around as much as the last one did. And so, perhaps we might need 1 last tower to guarantee the victory here. But other than that, I'll see you guys when we have 27,000, or until we encounter a sticky situation that we can't beat. Alright. Alright. There is our sub-commander. So, we managed to get through without many problems. Admittedly, there were some levels where the balloons did get quite far. Like that. Like, up to here is a bit for us. We don't like that. But, if you ever get in trouble like that, like, there's another great wave of those ceramics this level, do not be afraid to use your Quincy abilities. Obviously, if you're on round 62, and you know round 63 is coming up next, which you might need them for, then by all means try and get through it without using abilities, because let's be honest, if you lose to 62, well rather if you beat 62 but both your abilities are on cooldowns, then you might have a bit more of a harder time trying to beat 63. So, round 79, we seem to be doing quite well, holding off fairly easily, not gonna lie. So round 80 I think will be just as easy, but from then onwards I'm not too sure, because we've never gone past 80 on this map, or on these maps as of yet. So I'm just thinking about what we could potentially place as our 4th tower to save us here. We do have 2 magic monkeys. We do have 2 wizards. So I'm thinking that maybe we just go for a 4th tier top path wizard, because I don't think we'll get Archmage up in time, 5th tier. So we're gonna put a wizard right, you know what, we'll remove this and put him here. So then 1, 2, 3, almost can afford the 4th. We are gonna save up for that rather than buying the 2nd path just yet. So there it is, Arcane Spike. Now, between Fireball and Intense Magic, and I kind of prefer Intense Magic and Monkey Sense. I know he's not necessarily he doesn't need to pop camos at this point, because it's mainly just going to be big balloons, but I just prefer it, I think. I'm not sure how great Intense Magic is, and I know Wall of Fire is amazing, but I don't know why, I've just always preferred the top path plus the bottom path. Now, admittedly, if this guy gets 0 pops, you can save him. You don't need to use him. But I have, just in case. It's sort of like a backup. I don't know how great or how much effort wave 85 will be, or the ones that we're on now. So I've just put him in as a little bit of backup, right? Because I'm confident that on the next level we can beat Carts and Darts in poppable difficulty with 1 Dart Monkey, 1 Cannon, 1 Sniper, 1 Wizard, 1 Alchemist, 1 Ninja, and 1 Village. To be honest, I've not used the Village yet. I've been saving it for the last level, but even then I'm not sure if I'll use it. So, the Village could be replaced with another type of monkey if you're so inclined. And this Wizard is not looking like it's going to get many pops. I did it out of security, but obviously I might not have needed to. Admittedly, there's quite a lot of BFBs here, so there's potential, but it looks like our 5th tiers have got it handled fairly well. So maybe this was a bit of panic out of me, but really it wasn't necessary. And depending on if we can beat these 2 ZOMGs, I think you guys will do fine without placing it. Never mind. Okay, so we popped 152 balloons worth of damage there. Now you could replace using him with Quincy's abilities. Not gonna lie. You use Quincy's first ability for that first Moab, and then once the second Moab gets popped down to regular balloons, use his second ability. You'll clean it up just fine. You won't need to place that Magician, and you'll have 9 crewmates remaining instead of 8. Alright, final map. Carts and darts. We've got 8 monkeys plus Quincy to get through it. I think this will be pretty smooth sailing for us here. So, I'm going to place Quincy a little bit of an awkward spot, not gonna lie. It's not the greatest spot, but I do believe that we have skipped the round where Quincy may have leaked balloons. Like, there was a round with all those blues clumped together. So I think, because we started on round 6, we've skipped that. Not to say we won't leak any lives in the early game, that's definitely not what I'm saying. But yes, that level early on is not as much of a threat as it was. So, we do have these big F-off barriers in the middle of our track, which is where we want to be placing most of our towers. So, if we can help it, we're going to try and remove them as quickly as possible, because the sooner we can start placing monkeys in this circle, or even this circle. I don't use this one as much, not going to lie, so I'm just going to be clearing this one. But if you guys feel more comfortable using this circle, by all means, go for it. This track, compared to the last one, and what was the other one? Compared to the last one and Candyland, although Candyland wasn't too bad. Okay, what map am I thinking of here? Okay, yeah, so compared to this one and this one, this track loops around on itself quite a lot. So the balloons will come around here, go backwards, back to the start, and then they'll come around again, and then come out here. So essentially, it loops around on itself very nicely for us to deal massive amounts of damage multiple times. So ordinarily, if we just placed like a ninja up here, he'd only hit the track once, because, well, the balloons only reach that part of the track once. But if instead we place them around here, balloons will go through, and then through, and then through again. 3 times, which is, I don't even think I have to tell you guys how amazing that is in terms of damage for us. Alright, so there's our ninja. Pretty much the same strategy will work. It is impoppable, so the prices will be amped up a little bit, but that shouldn't stop us from doing the strategy. It should just delay us a bit. So we should be able to get through pretty much the exact same way, except everything will be a little bit more expensive. So you see that Sharp Shurikens now costs 420, Seeking Shuriken doesn't cost 270, it costs 300, etc. So impoppable difficulty doesn't make it any more difficult than hard difficulty, it just makes things a bit more expensive. So if you can barely I just cannot speak. Right. Sorry about that. My mum just came in, asked for what's for dinner. So essentially, if you're struggling to beat a level and you've barely got enough cash to scrape by, you may need to rethink your strategy for this one, because everything costs that little bit extra, so you might not have enough money that you originally needed. Okay, but as you can see, the strategy seems to be working quite fine. Ninja on itself, on its own, is just legendary. If you can put him in a spot where the track loops around itself many times, you'll be golden. It's honestly perfect. Alright. So, admittedly, the ninja strategy does not work for some more straightforward maps. Like, don't get me wrong, he's still powerful, but if the map is literally just a straight line, say from here to here, then Ninja doesn't really have a good range. Whereas on this map he's got start of here, the end of here, all of this top part, and then the start of here again, and the end of here again. Which is just insane, which is why the Ninja will do absolutely brilliantly on this map. There's no doubt about it. Alright, so we'll get our Alchemist, put him quite close. So the reason I also put the Alchemist so that he can only buff the Ninja is because a lot of the times during the rounds, the Ninja is our best source of camo detection. That's just guaranteed without the Alchemist being there. But he's also a best source of popping leads, weirdly enough, because Quincy, every third shot, well, once he gets that upgrade, every third shot he gets can pop leads. But Ninja can pretty much pop leads all the time, so long as the Alchemist keeps doing what it's doing. So, and Ninja's pretty much what we're relying on for the majority of the game. And by the majority, I mean the first 50 waves or so. Because, let's be honest, the first 50 waves, if you can get through them with relative ease, then the last 40 or so shouldn't be that much of a pain. Like, if you can get through it with ease, then you've got a really good start, and you can absolutely smash the map, right? But if you're slacking off at all in the first 50 waves, and like you're having to buy upgrades to keep up with the rounds, that's when you know your strategy's not doing as well as you'd like. So essentially, for this strategy, once we get this guy to 4th tier and this guy to 4th tier, we can fend off waves well into the future and just save money. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with spending money as you go, because there's really no difference between me saving all that money until wave 54 and then spending it all in one, versus spending it over time and making sure that your defense is actually good. In fact, that second one sounds a lot better. But there's also nothing wrong with saving up your money, because if you save up all your money and then you start to see that you're about to lose to a wave, pause it, go home, come back, try the level again, but spend a bit of money. Don't spend all of it if you can help it. Like, unless you need to, of course. But just try and spend minimum amount of money. See how much it needs, really. Because there have been games where I've spent all of my money on a level to try and beat it, and really I only needed to spend like 500. And so when I needed to sell those towers later on to get more money back, it was just overall a massive waste of time and money. Alright, but we'll be getting stronger stimulant here. As you can see, we can still pretty much afford to do the same strategy. The prices aren't that much of a difference that wave 40 comes before we can buy a 4th tier of either of these guys. No, we can still get them both in time. There's no problems with that. No siree. Come on, come on. There we go. Okay, so now we're just going to get Acid Pool and Faster Throwing, and then our first round 40 will come. We will evaluate how well our monkeys do, and then, to be honest, we can go all out, because, I mean, really, there's no map after this, so we may as well place everything. Not that you need to place everything, don't get me wrong, you can definitely beat this map with, like, minimal towers, and I'm gonna... You know what, yeah, I suppose I should probably try and beat this map with minimal towers, just so that, just so you guys can get a feel for it. If you need to splash out some towers in the earlier rounds, that's alright, don't feel ashamed for that. You definitely want to make sure you're safe and secure, but yes, if you need to splash out some money in the early rounds, by all means go for it. I am going to be using the village right about here, so that it covers the entire circle of where we can place things. So I'll place them here. Buy 2 upgrades at the bottom, just so that we get a bit of a discount on our monkey upgrades if they're tier 3 or lower. We'll also get regrow blocker and radar scanner. So now our Alchemist can see camos, and anything else that we put in this radius can also see camos, which is very important to us. So, now, is that the equivalent value of a sub? Because essentially, on the last couple maps we've placed a sub instead, gotten some extra damage, and then just kind of waited to get a 5th tier Grandmaster Ninja. But since that's a lot more expensive now, I think instead we're going to buy a Wizard Monkey. I'm going to buy a Wizard Monkey, put him right next to the Alchemist. Now, admittedly, that is going to throw off the buffs. The Alchemist will sometimes only buff the Wizard, and then sometimes he'll only buff the ninja, which can be a bit of a problem. But if you don't want to do this strategy, that's perfectly fine. You can place the wizard over here. I'm just placing him here because it's going to be a lot cheaper in terms of monkey commerce, that upgrade there. And I do believe that Arcane Spike does quite well against round 63. Obviously, Grandmaster Ninja is a more guaranteed, safer option, but we've got a bit of cash to splash, and we've got some backup monkeys just in case we need it. So we're not doing too badly here. Okay, and our goal, I guess, is to get the MIB. So not right now, because Arcane Spike is a bit more important at the moment, but we want to get the MIB because this is going up to round 90. And round 90 means DDTs, which means Moab Camo Lead Balloons, if you did not know. So, strength of a Moab can't be popped by regular darts. Has to be popped by... Why did I do that? You can already see camo. See, this is what I mean. I'm just drawn to the bottom path. So you don't necessarily need to go that one. You can go the middle path, because if you've been following the strategy exactly, or at least what I've been doing, because radar scanner already gives him camo detection, so you don't need to get camo detection in the bottom path. You can just go middle for extra damage. So that was bad for me. That was bad on my part, not gonna lie. But yeah, we're gonna save up for MIB now, just to get some popping of balloons of all types. But here's the other thing. When you're thinking about upgrades to get, like obviously MIB's great and all that, because it allows every monkey to pop everything, essentially. So if for example the dart monkey couldn't pop leads, if you get MIB, the dart monkey you place in the range of the village, it's not the whole map, can then pop leads and camos and whatever you want. So MIB is a good upgrade, but you also have to think about, is it necessary for the next difficult round? So round 60 is probably going to be a round to look out for, but because of Arcane Spike and this ninja both being buffed, I don't think it'll be much of a problem, because look, Moabs are barely getting through that tunnel, and they have to go back around and through it again. So I don't think BFBs will be a problem, because this Archmage can be shooting at it all the way from here, around this entire track until it gets to here, and then it comes back again for more. So I think for round 60 we'll be fine, but for round 63 we don't have a lot of ceramic damage, or at least is not as much as I want. So I'm going to see how we do round 63 just on its own. So I'm not going to buy this cannon right here, but for future reference, if round 63 does get a little close, I'm going to pause it, back out, go back in, and then get this bomb shooter. So in advance, I would recommend placing a bomb shooter maybe up here, place the bomb shooter, and then get recursive cluster, which is the bottom path, 4th tier, and then go 2 upgrades at the top for extra damage. Definitely place him within the range of the village so that you can get camos destroyed as well. But that's only if we fail 63. If 63 doesn't go so well for us, then we'll get the cannon. If it does go fairly well for us, then we won't really need to care all that much. But we're just making sure that we've got enough money to handle 63 if we can't already, essentially. So round 62, as always, a bit underwhelming compared to the next one, but at the same time, don't underestimate it. If you underestimate any round in this game, it can beat you. So there's wave 63. So as you can see, it's getting quite far. It got further than the Moabs did, but we did manage to beat the first wave, which is usually a good sign. There you go, there's the second wave gone as well. And if you need to, the third wave is a lot more ceramics, just use the ability. Quincy's second ability absolutely destroys. Okay, so we managed to get through it without using the cannon. which is basically what I wanted to do, because now we can aim for either Archmage or Grandmaster Ninja. I'm going to go for Archmage, just because it's a bit cheaper, and in my opinion, maybe even a little bit better, because Grandmaster Ninja is great and all, but I do believe that Archmage can put out more damage. I don't know if that's true or not. Do not hold me to that, because I do not know the facts. I'm letting you guys know now. I can't tell you right now if that's true, but I think, in my opinion, Archmage is better. Maybe I should do some sort of test to figure out if that's true or not. Just go play an entire map where I just place one of these two. But yes, we're going to try and get a 5th tier up. If we can't, that's alright, because we'll get a 5th tier Dart Monkey up instead. So once again, having all these 3 extra towers, for me personally, is very good. Because on this last map, if I can't get through a certain part, I can always place a Dart Monkey, get it to 5th tier, because Dart Monkey's 5th tier is pretty cheap, even on this game mode, 30,000. We're basically there now. So it's handy to have backups, is all I'm saying. So if you manage to save a few monkeys in the early few levels of the Odyssey, it's going to help you out much later on when you are in need of some extra assistance for a round you weren't prepared for. Alright, so we've just hit 30,000. We're very close to getting our Archmage. So I will see you guys when we are there. Alright, there is our Archmage. So, if you didn't know, I think whenever you get the Archmage, I don't know if this is true or not, once again, but look at that. He's got some sort of fire breath going on here. But that usually belongs to the 3rd tier path of the middle. And, at the same time, he's got kind of this sort of outbursty, shimmery effect when camo balloons get close. So, this is just my theory. I don't know if this is true or not, but it seems to be the case. So when you get the Archmage, it says, a true master of magical wizardry. So I think that means that once you get the 5th tier for the top path, it gives you the fire breath from the 3rd tier in the middle path, and it also gives you the shimmer from the 3rd tier in the bottom path as well. That's just my theory. I don't know if that's true or not, but that seems to be the case, at the very least, because those effects are going off. We're seeing the fire breath, we're seeing the little shimmer whenever camo balloons go past. It's interesting to say the least. Alright, so now we will get our MIB, because we feel a little bit more confident in our tower's abilities now, and we don't feel like we're going to lose to wave 63, that's for sure. Okay, so we will get it. Come on, get that money. Get that money, we need that money. There we go, MIB. And realistically, you don't need Call to Arms, but if you do feel like you are struggling and you need a 3rd ability, Call to Arms is definitely not a bad one to get. 100%. So, essentially, I'm trying to save myself from using these last 3 towers, just to show you guys that this map can also be beaten with less than the average amount of towers that you'd normally need. So, admittedly, on all the previous levels we used 3 towers plus Quincy. This level we're using 4. So we've got the village, the magician, the ninja, and our alchemist. I don't know why I keep calling him the magician. Admittedly, I did name him Dark Magician, but I know he's a wizard. But yes, so we are using the exact amount of towers that we should be using from the start on this map. We're using 4 plus Quincy. So I'm going to try and not use over that, but just to show you guys, we do have Sniper Monkey, Bomb Shooter, and Dart Monkey as backup. So if you are following this strategy or this guide exactly, then you have these 3 towers to save you here, or you have the chance to use them on previous levels if you get stuck there. So just as a bit of assistance, if you need it, and you're following this, like, monkey for monkey, Quincy for Quincy, or, well, in my opinion, Quincy's not the greatest hero. The only reason I picked Quincy was because Quincy's the default hero. Everybody has Quincy. So if I picked something like bloody Etienne or Admiral Brickle, some of you guys might not have them unlocked. And I'd rather complete this Odyssey with towers that I know that everybody has, just so that we can cruise through it a bit easier, and so that everybody's on the same page. And a lot of these towers you don't even need to get the 5th tier for. For example, the Ninja. Like, you don't need to get the 5th tier Ninja. Sometimes the 5th tier of something else will help out. But we've only really used the 5th tier Ninja, the 5th tier Wizard, the 5th tier Dart Monkey for the earlier levels, and the 5th tier Sub. I don't believe we've used 5th tier anything else other than those guys, which is pretty good in my books. Alright. So, we seem to be handling this with relative ease. We are going to go for our Grandmaster Ninja next, if we can help it. But, once again, we are past wave 80, which means that things are going to step up a notch. Because if you guys don't know, anything past wave 80 is actually terrifying in terms of difficulty. But look at this Archmage, look at him, man. He's so bad with his fire breath. Look, he's dragging behind the balloons every time. The only time he actually hits the balloons is when they turn the corner and he's like, oh, that's much better. I can actually aim now. It's just terrible. Terrible performance. But yes, you can get Call to Arms for a 50% attack speed and pops for 10 seconds. That's a pretty good ability. Once you tie that in with Quincy's first ability, where he attacks a lot faster, especially with his explosive third shot, and then tied in with Quincy's second ability, where he launches a barrage of arrows at the balloons furthest along the screen, you get quite a deadly combination of abilities there. But you should also know that, especially for Odysseys, and difficult ones at that, you shouldn't try and beat a level. Well, no, you let me start again. Right, so if you have abilities and you're trying to beat a level, you shouldn't use all of your abilities all at once. I think that's a little bit obvious, and you guys might think that too, but it may be tempting sometimes to use one ability, realize it doesn't work, and then think, oh, but if I use 2 abilities, it will work. No, not necessarily. And you might need that second ability for a later round. So, instead of trying one ability out, it not working, so then you try 2 abilities out instead, why don't you try using that same ability at a different time, like during the level? Like, for example, using the ability of Quincy's now may be a bit of a waste because he can't attack yet. So now that he can, it might be a good use of an ability. But you need to think about these things, because obviously there are many different situations where using one ability may not work, but using another one might. So, ooh, would you look at that? Alright, so there's our first sign that maybe we're in danger here. So we'll hit continue Odyssey. Luckily I've got a solution for this, and that is sell this boy, grab another 5th tier, and then put this guy back. But here's the big difference. We can now go top path, because we don't need to buy any more towers, really. So, if you're in trouble, definitely don't think that buying a new tower is the only way out. You can always sell a current tower and see how that goes. Now, another big issue that we're having here, and one of the main reasons why we're letting these balloons get so far, admittedly it's not on purpose, but both our Dark Magician and Zero here, or Ninja and Wizard Monkey, if you prefer the original names, both of them do a lot of damage, and both of them have attacks that sort of loop around and attack like multiple targets. So when we were faced with 4 ZOMGs there, one big problem that we had was the fact that we were popping all of them at once. And that can be quite dangerous. So because these guys have attacks that kind of chain towards the ones further back, you can see that we're popping multiple ones at once there. And then these guys are heavily damaged because they're actually focusing on their first priority target now. Oh, and this is the last wave. But yes, you may need to look out for that because essentially... Oh! We get it up in time, but we didn't need it. Alright. So there is the Odyssey complete. That's it done. Anyway, what I was saying was... you do have a spare Dart Monkey, Sniper Monkey, and a cannon. So if you get stuck on that level and you don't have enough money to just sell your village and buy a 5th tier ninja, you can instead place something like a sniper, get him through the top path so that he targets the big Moabs and stuns them, and then set him to last so that he holds one of the ZOMGs in place and takes his time killing him. So that the first 3 can come through, you'll damage them and maybe get through all of them, but it's a lot less effort to beat 3 ZOMGs than just 4. Alright, so that is the end of the Odyssey. We get a monkey village, we get our 50 trophies, and we get 200 gold? Monkey money. Alright, but that was cylindrical thinking. Around we go. So, we beat it without monkey knowledge, by the way, just to let you guys know. So that you don't necessarily need all of these upgrades. I did not have them enabled. So if you were thinking that you are struggling a little bit, you can always just enable your monkey knowledge. There's no restrictions on it. Extreme mode does not stop you from using monkey knowledge. And by all means, it's definitely not cheating because it's built into the game and you've worked hard for those upgrades, but the only reason I disabled it was so that if you were starting out and let's say you've just gotten some 5th tier monkeys like leveled up, you can in fact just fly through that Odyssey just as easily as I did. Alright, so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I know this is a long video, but I hope it provides entertainment and or some sort of guide to beating this Odyssey. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you all on the next one. Take care, guys.